The mail-order bride arrived on a wagon too broken to carry her dignity. She stepped down barefoot into the dust, her dress stained with sweat and sorrow, her hair tied back with a frayed ribbon the color of dried blood. No one met her at the depot. No husband. No welcome. Just the wind chewing at the edges of the town like a starving dog. Her name was Alara Voss. She'd sold her last mirror in Cincinnati to pay for this ride. Sold her reflection so she could buy a chance at something softer than hunger. Behind her, the train whistle screamed like a dying thing. 3 days later, they found the man who'd ordered her, Sheriff Elias Crow, hanging from the oak outside the general store, his boots still caked with trail mud, his face blue as winter sky. The note pinned to his chest read, "She ain't worth the bullet." No signature. Just ink smudged by rain or tears. No one claimed her. No one wanted her. Alara slept that night in the church basement, curled beside a pile of moth-eaten hymnals, listening to the coyotes cry like children left behind. A week passed. Then another. She washed clothes for pennies. Mended socks. Baked bread no one bought. The townsfolk called her the ghost bride. Said God had sent her as punishment. Said the land itself rejected her. Then, on a Tuesday when the sun burned white as bone, a small girl appeared at her door. She couldn't have been more than 5. Barefoot. Hair matted with dirt and dried grass. Eyes too old for her face, dark, hollow, flickering like candle flames before the wind snuffs them. She held a doll made of rags and twine. "One eye missing. Mr. Crow said you were gonna be my mama," the girl whispered. Alara didn't answer. The girl stepped closer. Smelled of wood smoke and wet earth. "He said you take me if I ask nice." Alara's hands trembled. She looked past the child, to the horizon where the dust rolled in thick as grief. "You don't know who I am," Alara finally said. The girl nodded. "I know you cried when the preacher read Psalm 23. Alara froze. That morning, she'd sat alone in the pew, weeping so hard her ribs ached. No one saw. No one cared. "How did you?" "I peeked through the crack under the door," the girl said. "You didn't even wipe your face. You just let it drip on your dress." Silence fell between them, heavy as a coffin lid. Then the girl whispered again, softer this time, "Can you be my mommy?" Alara didn't say yes. But she opened the door wider. Her name was Lillian. Or so she told Alara. No one knew for sure. She'd shown up 6 months ago at the edge of town, clutching a tin can full of buttons. Said her daddy was gone. Said her mama was buried under the willow tree near the creek. Said the men who came after dark took her shoes. Took her voice. They never took her name. Lillian followed Alara like a shadow with feet. They walked together to the well. Sat side by side on the porch swing, rocking slow as a heartbeat. Alara taught her to braid hay into dolls. Lillian taught her how to listen to silence, not as empty space, but as something alive. Something waiting. At night, the girl would curl against Alara's side, breathing soft as snowfall. And for the first time since leaving Ohio, Alara dreamed without screaming. Until the storm came. It rolled in on the 3rd day of September, a black wall of wind that swallowed the sun whole. Dust choked the streets. Horses bolted. Windows rattled like teeth in a skull. People locked their doors. Prayed. Alara pulled Lillian close beneath the blanket they shared. Outside, something moved. Not the wind. Something heavier. Boots. Slow. Deliberate. Dragging through the grit like a man dragging a corpse. Alara held her breath. Lillian didn't move. Then, a knock. 3 times. Slow. Like someone counting heartbeats. Alara didn't answer. The knock came again. This time, louder. A voice slithered through the crack beneath the door. Elara. She knew that voice. She'd heard it in dreams. In nightmares. In the echo of every gun fired in this godforsaken land. Elias, she whispered. The voice chuckled. Wet. Thick. Didn't think you'd remember me, darlin'. Not after I hung myself. The door groaned. Not from wind. From pressure. Something pushed against it from the other side. Lillian pressed her face into Elara's chest. Trembling. Don't be scared, Elara murmured, though her own pulse hammered like a trapped bird. The door cracked open. Just an inch. Dust swirled inside like smoke. And there he stood. Elias Crow. Alive. His neck was raw. Purple rope burns circled it like a collar. His eyes were milky, glassy, but they saw. They fixed on Elara like a predator spotting wounded prey. His coat was torn. Blood soaked the shoulder. But his hand held a revolver. Not aimed at her. At Lillian. She's mine now, he said. Elara rose slowly. Hands raised. She's not yours. She's what's left of my daughter, Elias rasped. The one I buried under the willow. The one you stole. Elara's stomach dropped. You're lying. I watched her die, he said, voice cracking like dry timber. Pneumonia. Took 3 weeks. I held her. Sang her lullabies. She whispered. Promise me Mom'll come. He lifted the gun. You showed up 2 weeks later. Wearing her favorite dress. The blue one with the lace trim. Elara's breath caught. She'd worn that dress because it was the only clean thing she owned. She died in April, Elara whispered. I buried her in April, Elias growled. You came in June. With her buttons in your pocket. Elara's fingers twitched. She hadn't known. Hadn't realized. The buttons. Lillian wore them now. Sewn onto her ragdoll. Elias stepped forward. Dust clung to his beard like ash on a grave. You think you're saving her, he spat. You're just the next one she'll bury. The wind howled through the broken window. Lillian didn't scream. She reached out. Small hand. Pale fingers. Touched Elias's cheek. He froze. Like a man struck by lightning. Mama, she whispered. His jaw clenched. Tears carved paths through the grime on his face. You called me that, he choked. I always call you that, Lillian said. Even when you're mad. Elias's hand shook. The gun dipped. For half a heartbeat, the world stopped. Then, a gunshot cracked. Not from Elias. From the doorway. A second man stepped in. Tall. Lean. Face scarred from ear to chin. Wore a duster stained with old blood and whiskey. He held a rifle. Smiled. Sorry to interrupt, he drawled. But I've been waiting for this moment since the train left Denver. Elias turned. Hank. Hank spat on the floor. Yeah. Hank. The man you hired to kill her. Elara's blood turned to ice. You hired him to kill me? Hank grinned. Didn't want you sittin' in that church basement, starvin' like a stray dog. Thought you'd run off. But you stayed. Made it personal. Elias lowered the revolver. You knew, he whispered. You knew she wasn't my wife. I knew you were a coward, Hank said. So I gave you a choice. Hang yourself, or watch her suffer. Elias's shoulders sagged. I didn't want her dead, he croaked. I just didn't want her here. Hank raised his rifle. And now? He asked. Elias didn't answer. He just turned, and walked toward Elara. One step. Another. He knelt. Reached into his coat. With trembling fingers, he pulled out a locket. Opened it. Inside, a tiny photograph. A little girl. Smiling. Lillian's face. Elias pressed it into Elara's palm. I loved her, he whispered. Every damn day. Then he grabbed the barrel of his own revolver. Pressed it to his temple. Do it, he said to Hank. Shoot me. Let her live. Hank's finger tightened on the trigger. Elara screamed. No. But it was too late. The shot rang out. Elias collapsed. Blood bloomed across the floorboards like a dark flower. Lillian didn't cry. She walked over. Kneeled beside him. Took his cold hand. Kissed his forehead. Then looked up at Elara. Will you be my mommy now? Elara couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Hank stepped forward, rifle still smoking. He was a bastard, he said. But he loved her. That's why I'm gonna kill you. Elara didn't move. Didn't beg. Just held the locket. Felt its weight. Felt the girl's small fingers curl around her wrist. Then, quietly, she spoke. Before I came here, I had a baby. Hank paused. Took her to the orphanage in St. Louis. Couldn't feed her. Couldn't keep her warm. She had a cough. Same as Lillian. Hank's grip loosened. She cried every night, Elara went on. Called for mama. Just like Lillian does. Silence. The wind picked up again. Dust danced in the firelight. You're not a monster, Elara said. You're just tired. Hank stared at her. His eyes, hard as flint, flickered. Then he lowered the rifle. Go, he muttered. Take her. Ride south. Don't look back. Elara didn't thank him. She gathered Lillian into her arms. Wrapped her in the quilt. Carried her out into the storm. Behind them, Hank stood over Elias's body. He didn't bury him. Just covered him with his own duster. Then he lit a match. Set the house ablaze. Flames licked the rafters. Smoke curled into the black sky. As Elara ran, Lillian tucked her head against her chest. Why'd he do it? She whispered. Elara kissed her hair. Because some men love so hard, they forget how to live. They rode all night. No horse. No saddle. Just bare feet on dusty earth, the locket pressed to Elara's heart. By dawn, the storm broke. Sunrise painted the prairie gold. In the distance, a church bell tolled. Once. Twice. 3 times. Lillian looked up. Is that heaven? Elara smiled through tears. No, sweetheart. It's just a bell. They kept walking. Past the graveyard. Past the ruins of the saloon. Past the rusted train tracks humming with memory. At noon, they found a spring. Clear water. Cold as mercy. Elara knelt. Let Lillian drink first. Then she cupped her hands. Sipped. Tasted dust. Tasted hope. Tasted something new. Something unbroken. That night, they camped beneath a cottonwood tree. Elara sang the lullaby Elias had sung. Soft. Broken. Lillian slept. Elara watched the stars. Wiped her tears. And whispered into the dark, I'm sorry I didn't save you sooner. The wind answered. Not with words. But with silence. The kind that doesn't hurt. The kind that holds you. Morning came. They packed nothing. Carried only each other. And the locket. Halfway to Colorado, they passed a boy riding alone on a scrawny mare. He looked at them. Saw the girl. Saw the woman. Saw the locket glinting in the sun. He slowed. Then reined in. "Y'all need a ride?" he asked. Elara didn't answer. But Lillian waved. And the boy smiled. For the first time in years, Elara didn't feel invisible. She felt seen. The boy rode beside them. Didn't ask questions. Didn't offer names. Just pointed west. "There's a town up ahead," he said. "They got a schoolhouse. A doctor. And a baker who gives bread to orphans." Lillian squeezed Elara's hand. "Will we stay there?" Elara looked at the horizon. At the endless road. At the dust rising like ghosts behind them. Then she looked down at the girl. At the way her eyelashes fluttered like wings. And whispered, "Yes." They never found out who the boy was. Never learned his name. He vanished that evening. Left his horse. Left his canteen. Left a single button on the trail. Blue. With lace trim. And far off, just beyond the ridge, a church bell tolled. Again. And again. And again. Until the wind took it. Until the stars blinked. Until the silence remembered everything. And still, Lillian slept. And Elara held her. And the dust didn't sting anymore. It just floated. Like ashes. Like prayers. Like love, finally, allowed to rest.